In the heart of Umeoba, an Igbo village surrounded by sprawling forests and sacred hills, a child was born under extraordinary circumstances. The baby, a boy named Chizoba, arrived during the rare convergence of a blood moon and a solar eclipse, events that the elders said signified both great promise and looming peril. Chizoba's mother, Adaku, was a widow who had endured years of ridicule for her inability to bear a child. Her joy at finally becoming a mother was indescribable, but the mysterious circumstances of her son's birth sparked fear and whispers throughout the village. The village seer, Obiora, was summoned to bless the child. Dressed in his flowing white robes and holding his sacred staff, he arrived with an air of authority. Obiora placed a kola nut on Chizoba's tiny chest and chanted incantations to discern the child's destiny. Suddenly, he froze. His usually steady hands trembled as he dropped the kola nut, which cracked open and revealed an ominous sign. One half was black as night, and the other was white as daylight. "The spirits have spoken," Obiora declared, his voice heavy with foreboding. "This child is no ordinary boy. His birth is tied to the spirit realm, and his life will either bless this village or curse it." The villagers gasped. Some muttered prayers, while others cast suspicious glances at Adaku and her newborn. Though Adaku tried to ignore the fearful murmurs, a seed of worry took root in her heart. Chizoba grew into a curious and cheerful child, seemingly oblivious to the cloud of suspicion that hung over him. Adaku did her best to shield him from the villagers' whispers, teaching him to be kind and resilient. One fateful evening, when Chizoba was just 6 months old, Adaku cradled him under the old baobab tree near the village square. The crimson light of the setting sun bathed them in warmth as she sang a lullaby passed down from her ancestors. Suddenly, the air grew still. Birds that had been chirping moments before fell silent, and a chilling wind swept through the square. Before Adaku could react, a golden eagle larger than any bird she had ever seen descended from the skies. Its feathers shimmered like the rays of the sun, and its piercing eyes glowed with an unearthly light. The villagers gathered quickly, murmuring in fear. The eagle, with deliberate precision, landed just a few feet away from Adaku and fixed its gaze on Chizoba. "No, stay away from my son," Adaku screamed, clutching her baby to her chest. But in a flash, the eagle spread its massive wings, creating a gust of wind that forced Adaku to loosen her grip. The bird's talons seized Chizoba with a swiftness that left her breathless. The villagers watched in stunned silence as the eagle ascended into the sky, Chizoba's cries fading into the distance. Some fell to their knees, wailing, while others stood frozen, too terrified to speak. Adaku collapsed, her arms outstretched toward the sky. "My baby, bring back my baby," she cried, but the eagle disappeared into the direction of the forbidden forest, a place few dared to enter. The village erupted into chaos. Some villagers believed the spirits had claimed Chizoba as punishment for a sin unknown, while others whispered that the child had been cursed since birth. Adaku, however, refused to accept these explanations. "He's my son," she sobbed to the elders gathered in the Obi, the village square. "I must bring him back. I'll do whatever it takes." The elders turned to Obiora, their trusted seer, for guidance. Once again, he sought answers from the spirit world, entering a trance-like state as he communed with forces beyond. When he awoke, his face was pale, and his voice quivered as he spoke. "The eagle is no ordinary bird. It is a messenger of the sky spirits, and it has taken the child for reasons that will test the boundaries of your courage and love. To uncover the truth, you must journey to the shrine of the sky spirits deep within the forbidden forest. But beware, this journey demands great sacrifice, and the answers you seek may not bring the peace you desire." Adaku did not hesitate. "I will go," she declared. "Chizoba is my only son, and I will not abandon him." Ikomofuna, her elder brother and a skilled tracker, stepped forward. "I will go with you, sister. You will not face this journey alone." Iziogu, the village's fiercest hunter, also volunteered. "I know the paths of the forbidden forest better than anyone. I will guide you." The elders blessed the trio and armed them with charms and offerings for the spirits. At dawn, they set off toward the forbidden forest, their hearts heavy but resolute. The forbidden forest was a place of both wonder and terror. It was said to be the dwelling of spirits, ancient beings, and beasts that defy the imagination. The villagers told stories of hunters who entered the forest but never returned, their souls trapped in an eternal twilight. Adaku, Ikomofuna, and Iziogu ventured into the forest with cautious steps, their every sense heightened. The dense trees formed a canopy so thick that barely any sunlight pierced through. Strange sounds echoed around them, whispers that seemed to come from the trees themselves, the distant howls of unseen creatures, and the rustling of leaves that seemed to move without wind. Their first challenge came at the River of Shadows, a swirling body of black water that reflected neither the sky nor the trees. As they prepared to cross, the river began to churn violently, and ghostly hands emerged from the depths, clawing at the air. "Do not look into their eyes," Iziogu shouted, throwing a charm into the water. The charm emitted a blinding flash of light, and the hands retreated. The group hurried across the river, their breaths ragged with fear. Deeper into the forest, they encountered the maze of the lost. Trees twisted unnaturally, forming pathways that seemed to shift as they walked. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the ground felt soft, as though it was alive. "We are going in circles," Ikomofuna muttered, his voice edged with frustration. Adaku closed her eyes and clutched the amulet given to her by Enzobiora. "Spirits of the forest," she whispered, "guide us to the truth." Suddenly, a soft golden glow appeared in the distance. They followed it, their steps quickening with hope. The light led them out of the maze and into a clearing where an old woman sat by a fire. Her white hair flowed like silk, and her eyes gleamed with wisdom. "You seek the shrine of the sky spirits," the woman said before they could speak. "But do you understand what you will find there?" "I seek my son," Adaku said firmly. "Nothing else matters." The woman smiled, though her expression was tinged with sadness. She handed Adaku a golden feather. "This will guide you to the shrine. But remember, every choice has a cost. Are you prepared to pay yours?" Adaku nodded, though her heart trembled at the woman's cryptic words. With the golden feather in hand, Adaku, Ikomofuna, and Iziogu pressed deeper into the forbidden forest. The path ahead seemed less treacherous, as though the spirits had granted them safe passage. Yet the group remained on edge, their surroundings eerily silent save for the crunch of their footsteps. Hours later, they reached a steep hill shrouded in mist. At its summit, a gleaming structure stood tall, a magnificent shrine carved into the side of a massive cliff. The shrine of the sky spirits seemed both ancient and alive, its walls pulsing faintly with an otherworldly glow. As they approached, the golden feather in Adaku's hand began to radiate a soft warmth. The shrine's heavy doors opened of their own accord, revealing an expansive chamber filled with golden light. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal adorned with intricate carvings of eagles and swirling clouds. Adaku stepped forward cautiously. "Spirits of the sky," she called, her voice trembling. "I seek my son, Chizoba. Why have you taken him from me?" A powerful gust of wind swept through the chamber, and a deep, melodic voice echoed around them. "Adaku of Umyoba, mother of Chizoba, you stand before us seeking answers. But are you prepared to face the truth and its consequences?" "I am," Adaku replied without hesitation. The light in the chamber intensified, and a massive golden eagle materialized on the pedestal. It was larger and more radiant than the one that had taken Chizoba, its eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. "Your son was not taken from you out of malice," the eagle began. "Chizoba was born under the sacred convergence of the sun and moon, a sign that he carries a rare gift, the power to bridge the realms of the living and the spirits. Such a gift is both a blessing and a curse, for it makes him a target of dark forces." The eagle's gaze softened. "We took Chizoba to protect him. The shadow spirits, who dwell in the forbidden depth of this forest, seek to claim his power and use it to bring ruin to your village and beyond. He is safe with us, but his destiny is yet unwritten. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice what is necessary to safeguard his future?" "What must I do?" Adaku asked, her voice steady despite the storm brewing in her heart. The golden eagle's eyes darkened, and the chamber grew cold. "To prove your love and commitment, you must undergo the test of sacrifice," it said. "Only then will Chizoba's destiny be secured, and his bond with the spirit realm severed. Adaku nodded, but the eagle raised the wing to halt her. The test is not for you alone, it continued, turning its gaze to Ikomofuna and Iziogu. All who journeyed here must partake, for their actions have bound them to your cause. The trio exchanged uneasy glances but gave their consent. In an instant, the chamber transformed into a desolate landscape, a barren wasteland where the ground was cracked and the sky hung heavy with dark clouds. The voice of the golden eagle resonated around them. The test of sacrifice begins now. To succeed, you must each face your greatest fear and prove that your love for Chizoba outweighs your own desires. Adaku was the first to be tested. She found herself standing before a vision of her late husband, who had died tragically years before. He looked as alive as he once was, his warm smile beckoning her. Adaku, he said softly, leave this journey and come back to me. We can be a family again. Tears streamed down her face, but she shook her head. I love you, but I cannot abandon Chizoba. He needs me now. The vision faded, and Adaku found herself back in the chamber. Ikomofuna's test was next. He was surrounded by shadowy figures accusing him of cowardice, reminding him of a time when he had failed to protect his family. The words cut deep, but he stood firm. I may have failed in the past, but I will not fail my sister or Chizoba now. The shadows dissipated, and he returned to the chamber. Iziogu faced a monstrous creature, a manifestation of the beast he feared would one day overpower him. Though the creature roared and lunged, he held his ground. I will not let fear control me, he shouted, driving the apparition away. The chamber brightened once more, and the golden eagle reappeared. You have proven yourselves worthy, it said. But the ultimate sacrifice remains. Adaku, you must choose, give up your life so that Chizoba may live free of the spirit world's influence, or let him fulfill his destiny as a bridge between realms, a role that would demand his life's energy. Adaku's heart broke at the choice before her. To save her son's life as a mortal, she would have to give up her own. Yet to let him fulfill his destiny would mean a life of servitude to the spirits, with no guarantee of safety. She closed her eyes, her mind flooded with memories of Chizoba's laughter, his tiny fingers clutching hers, the hope he had brought to her life. I choose my son, she said firmly. Let him live a mortal life, free from the burdens of the spirit world. Take me instead. The golden eagle bowed its head in respect. Your love is true, Adaku. But your sacrifice need not end in death. Because of your selflessness, the spirits grant you a reprieve. You will live, but Chizoba's connection to the spirit realm will be severed. However, know this, his life will always be touched by the extraordinary. Adaku wept with relief. The chamber filled with golden light, and she heard the cry of a baby. The light faded to reveal Chizoba lying safely in her arms, his tiny hand clutching a single golden feather. The journey back to Yumoba was filled with joy and gratitude. Adaku, Ikomofuna, and Iziogu walked through the forbidden forest with renewed strength, the golden feather guiding their path. When they returned to the village, the sight of Chizoba in Adaku's arms silenced the villagers' whispers and replaced them with awe. Even the elders, who had doubted Adaku's determination, bowed in respect. Enzobiora approached, his eyes wide with wonder. The spirits have shown mercy, he said. This child is truly a gift to our people. But remember, his life is still tied to the extraordinary. Guide him with love and wisdom. Chizoba grew into a young man who inspired all who knew him. Though his life remained mysterious, the villagers no longer feared him. Instead, they saw him as a symbol of hope and the strength of a mother's love. And so, the legend of Chizoba and the Golden Eagle became a story passed down through generations in Yumoba, a reminder that even in the face of fear and uncertainty, love and sacrifice could overcome all.